We're looking at this right here, the mean. And so you want these points. January, you can call the first month 44. You've got these points right here, okay? So then you can go to Desmos, and you can, let me clear these out. You can put the points into Desmos by hitting this plus sign. And then go to table. And I'm going to do a few points to show you what I mean from the city I picked. So don't pick Jackson, Mississippi. So January, the mean was 44. So I'm going back to Desmos. I'm going to put in 144. Notice my window. At first, my window was like this. And I had to stretch it and move it, or shrink it and move it, so I could actually see the numbers. You'll see what it was in February, the second month of the year. In February in Jackson, or whatever city you pick, mine is 48. And I'll do a couple more. So you'll do all 12 months. In March, it was 57. You need to put in all 12, but I'm going to skip a little bit just so I can keep on moving. I'm going to go to July, which is the 7th month, is 82. 82. And that's the average temperature. You're using the mean. And let's see, in November it was 56. So November's the 11th month. Of course, you'll do all 12. But you see I get all these dots here. Let's change this window to where you can go to settings and also change the window, but I'm looking more from 0 to 12. Hang on, let me go to settings. And I want my x-axis to go from 0 to 13. You'll want your y-axis to be big enough to see however hot your city is. So I'm going to go up to about 90. And so you'll have more dots in here. Okay? All right, now, while I'm making this, I'm talking to Chloe. Are you okay right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now let's go back to our table. And I'm not going to tell you how to do everything. I'm going to ask you guiding questions as I look at Chloe's, or at mine, for instance. I'm going to look in the little Word document, which I hope is right here, okay? You'll actually have to type in, you'll put your table here. You can copy it either from the website or by hand or from Desmos, but you can actually just screenshot it into here. Vertical shift, don't just give it to me. You've got to show me what you did for vertical shift. Vertical shift is going to be this midline that goes right through here. Okay, so on Jackson, what I would do is I would think, how could I find the midline? As Zena said the other day in class, is the average temperature for the city. So my lowest temperature is 44. And my highest temperature is 82, so it's got to be in the middle of those. So what I would do is type in how I found that, which would be 82 minus 44. Oh, not plus, minus, I'm sorry. We want the middle. So I'm averaging them. Does that make sense, Chloe?
Yeah.
All right, divided by 2. And what would that equal? What's right in the middle of 82 and 44? 126, so 63 maybe. I just did that in my head. 63. Okay. So now I'm going to start typing into my Desmos to see how my fit is going. So for mine, of course yours will be different. Like I said, don't pick Jackson, Mississippi. All right, so that's looking like it's, especially if I had more points, like that's my midline. All right, now I'll ask you what kind of graph you think this looks like the most, especially with you having more points. Is it like a sine graph, a cosine graph? What does it look like the most? You can answer. What does it look like the most to you?
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think so.
Let's change your window. All right, so go 0 to 13 on the x-axis. Up here.
Here?
Yeah. So make that 0. You can there you go. To 13 because you only want to go out about 12 months.
Right.
And then your temps or whatever go 0 to what was your highest temperature? We're setting Chloe's window.
77.
77. So she's going to go to about 80 for her city. Give yourself a little room. Alright, so that should have done your window. We should see your points. Oh, okay. You've got your X's and Y's backwards. So let's just look at one. Okay. So make sure the months are X, time is X, and the temperature is Y. That's why I was going to. Okay. So this one to me looks a lot like a negative cosine wave, especially if I put my other dots in. Okay. If it looked like you could write it as sine, but you'd have to do more shifting. And so I'm thinking it's probably a cosine. I'm going to start making things up right now, but suppose I thought that the amplitude was 20 cosine. And I'm just throwing numbers in. Let's say X for now. Okay, so we can see we're kind of started on it, but you see it's not at all the right period.
Yes.
My weather's not through by then. Okay, so I'm going to go to this. Let's talk a bit about how we would, and all of this is logical. My vertical shift is the average temperature. The amplitude is going to obviously be how far it is from your midline to either the high or the low. Okay? The period, you've got to think of this like if you had y equals a plus b sine cx plus d. Okay? All right, now you don't even have to type that in. I'm just doing it so I can talk to everybody about it. This right here is my vertical translation, like on your memo page. This is the amplitude, which you should be able to easily find. To find the period, be logical. You can hit 2. I'm using option P. That'll give me a pi. 2 pi over C always gives me the period. So if you think to yourself, you've got to get the right number in here for C to make the period what? How long does this graph last before it repeats itself? 12. So you want to, do you see how I'm using algebra to force the issue? Oops, sorry. I want to say 2 pi, I'm doing algebra. I want to find out what number will force this to be 12. So I'm not going to finish that for you. But here, you can find C. And then when you put it in, the period will adjust itself. And it'll be what you need, okay? I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's close to 1/2. But do you see what I mean? If you get the right period, it's going to start to fit. The problem is that I got to shift it over probably a month. The reason you have to shift it over is in January, it's usually colder than it is in December. So when you look at yours, it's probably not going to be right on your dots, like especially over here. So can you see I want to shift this over, all of these over about a month? Okay? And mine's not even correct. You'll have something else right there. Okay? But if you want to shift it over a month, most of y'all's will need to be shifted over a month because in most cities, January is colder than look at December. You see it was on its way down, so you get a little bit of a tail. All right, so back to the Word doc. Again, be very literal every time you're figuring out something in math. If this said 2 x minus pi, all right, I'm going to get rid of this in a minute, but if this said 2x minus pi, I'm sorry, I can't hit the right key. All right, so everybody think about this. If I said 2x minus pi, it's option P, what would your phase shift be? Can you do it in your head?
Oh, yes. It would be pi over 2.
Okay, so Chloe and I are doing our head right here. 2x minus pi, we would set it equal to 0. And so we would say positive pi over 2, all right? But remember, we're really working with CX plus D. So, you know your phase shift is going to be negative D over C. Okay? Okay, negative D over C. You may want to shift it however far you want to shift it, which I'm guessing is about 1 month for most people, okay? And you'll already know C from this. You can find D then, okay? Then you'll have an absolutely beautiful equation that you can type into Desmos, and everything will be shifted, moved, and in the right place. Okay? Oh, and this. The last thing, paste a screenshot. That way I can grade it, but don't make sure you show all of this algebra on every. Don't just give me numbers there, and then screenshots. So your final answer would be, if mine was correct, mine's not correct, but you would just like screenshot all of this, where I can just grade it. I can see your table, I can see I will have first seen your table on number 1, the first question, and then I'll see where you entered your data and your equation and your graph and the fit. And so it makes it easy to grade.